What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. It is crazy because yesterday it was rainy, and it was not cold. It was kind of cool. It was about 50 degrees. And a couple of days before that, it was like in the 60s. And I was like literally wearing shorts. Today, right now, it's like 40 degrees and these wind gusts that are so crazy that it lifted up the umbrella that was closed and put it into the fish pond. And they're calling for a chance of some snow tonight, possibly. So I don't know if I'm going to get any on the way back because I'm headed back to the Red Brick House because we got work to do tomorrow. Tomorrow begins free agent frenzy. That's right, free agent frenzy, where it's legal to talk to players' agents and discuss contract numbers. You can't finalize anything until Wednesday. But you can start talking and getting, the basis of an agreement together, sign it, make it finalized on Wednesday. Now, here's where it gets to be crazy. I made a big mistake because I thought it was only $1.8 million that the Cowboys had under the cap. Wait for it. We actually have $2.2 million. $2 million of cap space to work. Now, here's the deal. If the Cowboys wanted to get somebody, here's the thing. They don't have to have the cap space until they sign the player. They can make an agreement in principle and say, we need to make a move to get under the cap to create that space. Whereas they could go ahead and hit some of the triggers for the players that they have. Now, I want to say a couple of things here. Okay, we've got a lot of time here while I'm going to be on the road. Okay, it's getting ready to get dark and stuff. So I'm going to do this kind of like a podcast and just let what's on my mind just roll. Okay, couple of things in my mind. First of all, you 49er fan, dude, I don't give a rat's ass about Brock Purdy getting married. You say he's a real man because he's getting married? Really? That's the best you got? That's the best you got? Okay. Screw that. Next thing, for the guy who said the Cowboys should just sign Trey Lance to a long-term deal and get rid of Dak because then they'd have money left over to go ahead and put people around Trey Lance. I'm going to say you actually have part of the answer correct. Part of the answer is you need more talent around the quarterback. Not going to disagree with that at all. Now, here's the problem. Getting rid of Dak will preclude you from getting money to sign Trey Lance to a long-term deal. If you really want Trey Lance, all you have to do is make sure you sign him to the fifth-year option, in which case it'd be about $25 million, and you'd have him secured. So that would be a way of locking him in for another year if you think that he is the guy. But I will point out something very interesting, too. Those out there that say Trey Lance is the future. If the Cowboys had faith in Trey Lance, that they believed that he is that good, then why was he never elevated above Cooper Rush? If he's ready to take over Dak Prescott's place, how come he wasn't the backup quarterback for any of the games last year? The problem here is Dak Prescott is $59 million this year. And the Cowboys, because they are constantly running in the red because of bad contracts, are constantly restructuring contracts to make up for the bad contracts. Last year, paying dead money for Zeke, La'el Collins. Year before that, we're paying like $13 million for Amari Cooper because we decided we didn't like him. This year, we'll be adding for this year, next year. Michael Gallup, dead money. That money has to come from someplace. And when you sign players like Zeke Elliott to a $90 million contract, and he has declining results, and you have to cut him, you are still incurring money. Would you believe that even though Tyron Smith is a free agent this year, we have $6 million that we're paying on the cap for him this year? Yeah. We'll have about $20 million this year in dead money. And going into next year, we already have $45 million in dead money. So here's the real deal that you have to realize as far as Dak Prescott is. Maybe there's no Super Bowl future with Dak Prescott. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But what I can tell you right now, in the short term, there's definitely not a Super Bowl scenario anytime soon without Dak. And the reason being is because over the next 2 seasons, you have to pay $96 million on the cap. $96 million on the cap. Whether Dak is here, or without him. Dak Prescott is here, you got a chance. Without him, you don't. So if your philosophy is sign Trey Lance and surround him with talent, and mind you, one other thing, revisiting the Trey Lance situation, I don't know that when he had his opportunities with San Francisco that they were exactly talent poor. I believe, and I may be wrong here, that they had Trent Williams as the left tackle. I believe they had Skittle Kittle as the tight end. I believe they had a Deebo Samuels and a Brian Ayuk. I believe that they had a Christian McCaffrey. And so he's had talent around him to succeed. Now maybe the injuries, the deer in the headlights, maybe the wrong system, all those things could have been a factor in him not being great early on. I'll give you that. But are you ready to take a $95 million gamble that he's the guy? Now, here's the thing. You can nickel and dime some contracts if you really want to. And the Cowboys should probably do what they usually do. They'll probably do like Diggs' contract and maybe D-Laws. They'll get a little bit, get themselves about $15, $20 million in cap space. They'll re-sign like Stephon Gilmore. They'll bring back Tony Pollard. And then they'll end up signing journeyman the journeyman players to fill in the other roster spots. And they'll go into the draft. More than likely, that's what the Dallas Cowboys will do. Just is. That's just the way they do business. And as my guy, Law Nation, man, having a conversation with him last night, he was like, I love the analogies that Law does. He was like, you know how to barbecue, right? I said, of course I do, man. I said, I know how to barbecue. He said, how you do it? I said, if I'm doing my pork shoulders, I go ahead and put the mustard on them and things. And I said, I put my rub on them, and then I wrap it up overnight. Get my wood chips together, my chunks of wood and stuff. Get those things going real nice and hot. Get my smoker going and keep that sucker right at 220 degrees. And I'll go out there and I'll keep putting on more, wood to make sure that we got good smoke going through there. I'll put the thermometer in there, and about 15 to 18 hours later, it'll be ready to go. And then, of course, I got to make the sauce. He said, do you change up how you do it? I said, no, man, I got it down pat. I know how to do it. He said, well, that's the Cowboys as far as building a team. They only know one way to make a team. And I'm just sitting there thinking, he's younger than me. How come he's so wise? Law, why are you so wise? Why are you Jedi mind tricking me and shit, with some wise things? which really depressed me because he's 100% right. That's what the Cowboys know is don't waste the whole money in free agency, because what they do is, in their mind, they look at the roadway that's littered with free agents that were overpaid. And they look at the trades that were made that didn't work out. The Eagles, they traded for Kevin Byard, and they thought, oh man, we got a great safety and everything else. And it ends up being, he's gone, not even a full season into it. They look at trades for a quarterback like Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. And this is what's kind of funny to me is how we are so on Dak Prescott and Dak Prescott getting paid. Whereas you look at the albatross that's wrapped around the neck. I think it's an albatross. Wrapped around the neck of the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson, who I believe over 2 seasons he's got like 12 TD passes and like 15 interceptions, and has been absolutely positively nothing with a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. Okay? I don't see him getting another big contract, FYI. You see Russell Wilson getting run out of town in Denver, and Denver basically having to take on what's going to amount to about $80 million in dead money. So the Cowboys look and they see these big free agent and trade moves out there, and they're scared to make those moves, so they're not going to do those. As Stephen Jones will tell you, he believes that if you end up having to sign a free agent, a big name free agent, it's because you screwed up in the draft, and that's true. But the reality of today's football is you don't have enough draft picks. It's not like when you had Roger Staubach and you picked him up in the 12th round, because there was no free agency. There's 7 rounds, and typically you're lucky if you get a 6 and 7 rounder that become great players. It's not to say it doesn't happen. The fact that Dak Prescott was a compensatory pick that we got because we lost DeMarco Murray is insane. When you look at the highway, and I keep talking about the highway being littered because I'm on the road with the sun going down, the highway being littered with first-round quarterbacks, knowing that Mac Jones, just a couple years in, has now been traded to be a backup in Jacksonville, to know that Zach Wilson was the number 2 draft pick in the NFL, and that he has been a complete and utter bust. To see guys like Josh Rosen that were picked in the first round that literally became a journeyman almost completely right away. To see a guy like Kyler Murray, who seemingly had so much promise but couldn't put down the PlayStation enough, get paid, and literally Arizona be kind of like, eh. The crazy thing when all these people hate on Dak Prescott that you miss in the equation is this. The fact that Dak Prescott got his big contract, right? Just like Kyler Murray, just like Deshaun Watson, just like Josh Allen and all these other guys that got the big deals. How many of those guys, after having that contract, will have a team looking at saying, we have to do that contract again? I'd say Pat Mahomes, definitely. But for the simple fact that most of them don't get anywhere close to being the guy or living up to that contract that they got, you have to look at it and say, Dak Prescott is one of the few that have. And I don't want to hear this stuff that, well, Dak Prescott, he ain't won the Super Bowl. We haven't had the success in the playoffs. Well, guess what? Josh Allen has had one season where they won more than one game. One season where they won more than one game in the playoffs. That's it. You think he's God? Lamar Jackson, He's 2-4 in the playoffs. Same boat as Dak Prescott. Guys like Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, they ain't going nowhere. And guys like Russell Wilson, they're past their prime. Aaron Rodgers is cray-cray, and I don't know if he's going to be the guy that he used to be. To think that there's guys out there that you can just say, get rid of him, automatically this guy's going to be great. You know how many times I've heard, Johnny Manziel? We should have gotten Johnny Manziel. Or I'd take Baker Mayfield over Dak Prescott. And I know people say, well, Baker Mayfield made it farther than the Cowboys did in the playoffs this year. Well, I tell you what, if we had played the Eagles this year, I guarantee you we would have gotten farther along. Change my mind. Change my mind. Because you can't. Because the Eagles, they were on a 6-game, basically, tank. They went straight downhill. They lost 6 of the last 7 games. So, there's that. So, don't give me this now. Baker Mayfield is now all of a sudden the greatest quarterback since sliced bread. Now, here's the thing. Here's the reality of it. We hear, and it's not the first time we've heard, that players want to come to Dallas. Heard about DeAndre Hopkins last year. That Hopkins, he was there working out with Dez Bryant saying, what's up, Cowboys, what's up? And literally said when he finally got signed, he was going on a revenge tour because of teams that didn't sign him. And said Dallas. Okay? You got that? We had Bobby Wagner, who wanted to come play because of Dan Quinn. We had Von Miller, who was there hanging out with DeMarcus Ware and saying, making calls to the Cowboys about wanting to play. Players have wanted to come. Now, the problem here is we them boys. Okay? Remember that. We them boys. And so, in Stephen Jones's mind and Jerry Jones's mind, because we are those Cowboys, they look at it differently. They say because you're in the Dallas Metroplex, okay, there's so much to do, that there's lower taxes in Texas, that, being in Dallas, that, even the kicker can have his own show, that there's a premium with so many other perks, fringe benefits, so to speak, of being a Dallas Cowboy, that you should be giving them a break. That you are fortunate that you can have the opportunity to be a Dallas Cowboy. And so they look at it as we can lowball people, that we should pay less. And there's a misconception out there, what a lot of people have, is people will say, well, they got the money. Here's the thing. People with money didn't get money by just giving it away. People with money, they want to hold on to the money. They're going to try and find a way to keep from losing that money. They hold on. See, there's a difference between people with new money, people that just won the lottery. They're foolish with their money. That's why you hear about them going bankrupt. Because they're out there trying to show everybody how much money they got, and out there in the club getting tipsy and paying for everybody else. Like Vince Young, let's go to the club and buy shots of Louis the 13th, okay? For everybody. You buy 50 of those shots as a round and shit, you're gonna go broke. Going to Cheesecake Factory on a weekly basis and spending $5,000. Dude, why didn't you just buy a freaking franchise from them and go in and eat for free and let them make money off everybody else? People want to come there because it's you, because that's being stupid, because you think that the money's going to last. Well, people with money, they don't think that way. They going to penny pinch every dime and nickel that they have and make sure that they turn you upside down and make sure the change comes out your pocket. And that's what the Cowboys do when it comes to players. Case in point, Micah Parsons has played above and beyond expectations of what you would expect from a first-round draft pick. And here it is. They do the designation that's going to save them $2 million. $2 million on the 5th-year option. In the grand scheme of things, you'll probably end up signing him to a long-term deal, and that's a moot point. So why even bother with doing that to save $2 million at all? And creating where you look at this and they say, why are they trying to screw me? What's up with that? Why are you creating animosity with one of your best players on your team and showing them that, hey, it's a business. It's about the money. And then expect the players to turn around and give you a break. So, I've said all this because I've got 2 hours and a half of driving to do, and it's getting dark, in which case you won't be able to see me. I've gone around in circles here about Derrick Henry. And I believe that Derrick Henry would like to play for the Cowboys. I believe that. I believe the Cowboys believe that Derrick Henry would like to play for the Cowboys because they feel like everybody wants to play for the Dallas Cowboys because we them boys. Remember that. But the Cowboys will look at this and say, well, you've already got a house here. Now you got 2. You come here and work out in the summertime. Okay. We're not that far from Tennessee where you used to play, where your friends and stuff may be. We the Cowboys, we got a chance to try and get you to that Super Bowl. And so, we want a discount for all that. Derrick Henry, on the other hand, looks at this and says, I don't know how many more games I have left on this body. I don't know that I'll have another contract after this one. And I don't know how Derrick Henry has handled his finances over the years. I don't know if he's like, some of the ones out there like, he was running back for Washington and came to us. Alfred Morris, who was still driving the practice or riding a bicycle, but had like an old Nissan Maxima and stuff, and penny pinched and saved his money. Players that are smart with their money like that are few and far between. You get a lot of them that are like Adam Jones that are literally spending $2 million in a weekend in Vegas. Be that as it may, Derrick Henry is looking to get as much money as he can for his last contract because it's the last big payday that you're going to get. Now, maybe he's going to have a career in commercials and things. You've seen him with the refrigerator moving and all that and stuff. Maybe he ends up getting a career in broadcasting. Of course, being a Dallas Cowboy seems to be a launching pad for you to get into the media business. That's the thing that the Cowboys are fighting. I think both sides will want to do something. But in the end, as DeMario Davis taught me, and I will never, ever forget this, in the end, you are an independent contractor. An independent contractor. You get a 1099 at the end of the year. They don't withhold taxes from you or pay Social Security or anything. You get a 1099 at the end of the year because you are an independent contractor. And they will only love you and keep you until there is a better option. And that's a fact. There is no loyalty in football from the teams. If there was, we wouldn't have seen Tony Dorsett playing his last year in Denver. We wouldn't have seen Emmitt Smith going to the Arizona Cardinals. We just wouldn't. Because we would say these guys have been Dallas Cowboys royalty and are the best in the business, and they deserve to be finishing their career as Dallas Cowboy players. When the reality is when they're done with you, they're done with you. And so it behooves you to get the money that you can while you can, because it ain't always going to be there. And that's a fact. So with tomorrow, it's almost 8 o'clock, 16 hours away from free agent frenzy starting up. The Cowboys have $2 million. I believe if they want to get the money to do something, if something drops in their lap, which is the only way it's going to happen, is it's got to drop in their lap, because they're not going to go out and do it. If something drops in their lap, they can get money real quick by restructuring a deal. It's not like it takes weeks on end for them to get money to restructure a contract. They can do it in the drop of a hat. The question is, will they? And I go back to what Law Nation was saying to me. You ain't changing what you're doing. You have a team that looks at it and says, we've won 36 games over the last 3 years. We are the most valuable sports franchise of any franchise by more than $2 billion. What we're doing is working. Why risk it? That's the harsh reality of all of this. So, I don't know. What I do know is this is the same discussion that we had last year after losing to the 49ers and the year before after losing to the 49ers. Everything is exactly the same. We go through the off season. We have addition by subtraction. We lose some players, be it an Amari Cooper, be it a Zeke Elliott, be it a Connor Williams, and we don't replace any of these guys with like production. We end up putting more and more blame onto the quarterback, saying, oh, he's got so much talent around him. And I don't know that we have the same kind of talent that the San Francisco 49ers have. I don't know that we have the same kind of talent as the Eagles have, but we compete well with them. And if you think that he's not enough to elevate the team by himself, then why not? Why not say, let's do a Philadelphia Eagles, and let's put around as many people as we can to try and elevate him to get the Super Bowl. To me, it's kind of like saying, think about this. Let's say your kid, your child, sucks at math, and he's failing tests. Yeah, I'm pulling a Law Nation type of story on you. And he's failing the math test. Do you just sit around and say, Johnny, he can't elevate himself to pass the freaking math test? Do you literally just say that? Or do you go out and say, let's get Johnny a tutor to help him elevate what he's doing? Or do you sit your ass down, your non-math doing self, and try and figure the shit out, because you'd be failing the test too, and try and help the child to get better? You'd probably go through and do everything you can to help elevate your child to be successful. So why don't we do that with Dak Prescott? I'll wait. I'll wait. Because that's the reality of it. We're not putting the people around to help elevate this situation. That's all I have to say about that. So that is literally 30 minutes straight talking to you guys. And I appreciate you guys taking me the first leg. And I got about an hour and 45 minutes to go. And I don't want to leave this light on right here. I've gone through the heavily trafficked area and stuff. Now it's just the lonely road where, looking down here, probably a car about maybe a third of a mile ahead of me. I see one tail light, and you don't see anybody anywhere close behind me either. It's just going to be the white line fever up in here. All right, so I can hope that the Cowboys do something. I can pray that the Cowboys do something. What I wish, and I don't know how many of y'all are going to still be listening to this, because I was actually going to do my fireside chat and bare my soul with this thought and wish. I know it'll never happen. But what if Stephen Jones, let's be clear here, Stephen Jones is running this organization. What if Stephen Jones said, this year, to honor my father for everything that he's done, I don't want to wait until after he's gone. I want to show my dad everything that I learned from him. I want him to see this with his own eyes. I don't want to do this when he's gone and can't be here to see it. We are going to go and we're going to win the Super Bowl. And we're going to do everything we can to get there. We're not worried about what the salary cap is going to be, because this year it's all about Jerry Jones and making sure that he, my father that has done everything for me and my siblings, that has created the greatest sports empire in the world, to let him know that the empire that he has built is in great hands. And for him to be there at the Super Bowl with the confetti falling all around him, able to lift that trophy up one more time. And at the Dallas Cowboys, there's a new sheriff in town. And we are going to do things differently. And we are going to earn the respect of every one of you out there. We're going to put the NFL on notice that we ain't just the rich kids out here that when you punch them in the face that we going to back down. We're going to come to your house. We're going to tell you that we're going to kick your teeth in. We're going to kick your teeth in. We're going to pick them up, and then we're going to throw them at your ass. And that, my friends, is the new Dallas Cowboys that I am instilling for this year. So world, watch out, because we them boys, and you better damn sure remember that. That's what you want. That is what you want. There's nothing worse than waiting till somebody is gone to honor them, or being a parent and worrying about your legacy and figuring out what you're going to leave for your kids or for the next generation. You want to do those things when you're still around to see the fruits of your labor and go to rest knowing that things are in good hands. That's my dream. And that's the way I want to see it for my kids. I want to do things for them and know that they are in great shape and they will be fine without me. Whew. sometimes the Cowboys can really just make you emotional. I appreciate y'all listening, and I hope y'all have a great night.